welcome to a brand new episode of SimplyDARK Season 3. Today we are going to be covering a topic that is both fascinating and terrifying. Something rare that unfortunately I had experienced myself multiple times, but that realistically only affects 8% of the population worldwide. Something called sleep paralysis. Let's begin then with what is sleep paralysis.
When we dream, our brain switches off our ability to move so that we don't injure ourselves acting out those dreams. When we wake up, it switches us back on again. But sometimes the switch is out of sync and we wake up paralyzed.
So basically, you are awake and aware of everything surrounding you, but you cannot move or talk. And although this only takes a few minutes, it is terrifying. Now, if you are one of the lucky 92% of the population that never experienced this before, you might be wondering, how can a few minutes be so terrifying? Well, let me tell you my story. Like I mentioned before, I have gone through this experience multiple times, and it doesn't matter how many times it happened, I hate it each time. I first heard about sleep paralysis when I got married, as my father-in-law suffered from it from time to time and used to tell us all these creepy stories about it. From feeling someone sitting on top of his chest to seeing a shadow in the corner of his bedroom observing him, or even having the devil trying to choke him. His stories always felt more like nightmares to me than anything else. But little did I know that soon I would be experiencing that myself. I remember the first time this happened to me like it was yesterday. For some reason, I couldn't fall asleep that night and I was struggling to keep my eyes shut. But I did eventually fall asleep and felt quite peaceful. At least until I woke up. While waking up, something felt different. I was lying on my back and my eyes were wide open. I was staring at the ceiling above me, and when I tried to turn myself to the side, I couldn't. It didn't matter how hard I tried, my body would not move. All the muscles on my body were paralyzed. I then tried reaching my husband, which was right there next to me, like a few centimeters away from my hand, but I could not physically touch him. At this point, I could feel my heart starting to race, and my instinct straight away was to scream. But strange enough, no sound was coming out of my mouth. Like, I was trying so hard. I screamed and screamed, like I felt like my lungs were going to collapse. But no one could hear me. Like, my husband was just there and he couldn't hear me. I never felt so hopeless in my life, and I never felt so terrified as in that moment. I then looked up at the ceiling again, and this is when I felt this overwhelming feeling that someone was looking at me. I felt this presence in the room, and I knew I was being observed. I didn't dare to look around to see what exactly was there, so I didn't actually see a shadow or a figure or anything like that matter, like a lot of people experience visions and see things. I didn't see anything, but I could definitely feel that someone or something was in the room. At this point, I begin to feel cold taking over my body, starting on my feet, going up my back, and then a shiver right down my spine, like I never felt before. My heart starts racing again and I feel that I can't breathe. Suddenly, my chest feels so heavy and it's so difficult to breathe that I feel I'm going to explode. Once again, I try to scream as loud as I can, but nothing happens. There's no sound whatsoever coming out of my mouth, and I'm just terrified. After a few seconds feeling like this, I finally realized that there's very little I can do. So I tried as hard as I can to just keep looking at the ceiling, keep looking at that one spot. I didn't want to look around, just keep looking at that one spot, and the only thing I could think about was to pray. So I start praying as hard as I can. But to be honest, as soon as I start praying, I felt even more terrified. I felt that whoever or whatever was looking at me wasn't happy about it. And I felt very, very overwhelmed. But I didn't give up and I kept on praying. And I think that ended up helping because eventually everything was gone. Done. The cold in the room, the feeling of someone or something observing me, everything was just gone. I'm finally able to move and talk again. My room looks fine, completely normal, like if nothing happened at all, except from me. I noticed tears falling down my face and then panic kicks in. But this time I was able to wake my husband up and hug him, and oh my god, I felt so relieved. I told him everything that happened. I told him how scared I was, and it was super sweet. It was able to calm me down and obviously comfort me and make me feel good again. But even like that, I couldn't go back to sleep. So I had to make sure that I was stuck to my husband with his arms around me. That was the only way for me to feel safe again. Nowadays, it's been so many times that this happened to me that I don't wake up my husband anymore. I just make sure when I'm free of all of it, I just, stuck to him and I make sure he has his arms around me and I'm fine to fall asleep again. Now, all the sleep paralysis experiences that I had were all the same as the one I just explained to you guys. They don't normally change. It's a reoccurring thing, so it's always the same thing. And although I know what's gonna happen and although I know how I'm gonna feel, that doesn't change anything. I'm terrified each time. It's like this overwhelming feeling takes over me. And I never actually seen anything. I never actually had like an encounter with a shadow in my room or with eyes looking at me, and thank God I never saw that, because I would not be able to sleep ever again. Now let's get into the good part. Some people say that these experiences are actually paranormal. So whatever you have in your room, some cultures say that it's a demon, some cultures say that it's ghosts, or there are even people that say that it's aliens and that this that we are experiencing is an alien abduction. To be honest, I'm not too sure if I believe in this. First of all, because we do have a logical explanation for this. We know that sometimes our brain malfunction and our mind wakes up before our body, and that's why we aren't able to move. I don't think scientists actually have an explanation for the hallucinations that people have, but I think that's just our brain. Like when you feel scared, because not being able to move or talk is a scary situation. So I think when you realize that you can't move or ask for help, you feel this overwhelming feeling. And I think that it's very easy for your brain to start creating all these kind of terrifying scenarios to justify the fear you are feeling. So I like to think about sleep paralysis as something that your brain is actually creating. I prefer to think of it like that than to think of it like ghosts or demons in your bedroom, because that's just way too scary. I am not saying that that is not possible, because you guys know I do believe in ghosts and I do believe in aliens too, so I'm not saying that that is not possible, but what I'm saying is I prefer to believe that this is just our brain messing up with us. Now, every single person experience is unique and the sleep paralysis symptoms vary from person to person, but my one advice to you is, if I can give you an advice, is never ever sleep on your back. If you are in between your 20s and 30s like I am, which is the age range where sleep paralysis is more probable to happen, sleeping on your back also gives you a higher probability of sleep paralysis occurring. And I can in fact vouch for that, because 99% of the time I have sleep paralysis, I am lying down on my back, which, by the way, I love to do. I love to fall asleep on my back. That's my most comfortable position to fall asleep. I don't know why, because I know that a lot of people can't fall asleep in their backs, and that's good for you. Maybe that's why you don't have sleep paralysis. But I do like that position very much. And I've been trying to avoid it as much as I can because I don't want to have it. And I feel like if I don't sleep on my back, I almost never have it. And finally, with all that being said, we got to the end of this video. What do you guys think? Do you suffer from sleep paralysis? How is your experience when that happened? Do you know any stories of family and friends that you would like to share? If you do, please leave a comment telling me everything about it. I love to read your stories and also reply to them. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If yes, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps my episodes to get out there. Also, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and join the family, and so that you can receive all my videos as soon as I upload them as well. I hope you all being safe. I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next episode.